This is Love Talk with Martis The Love Coach, where the truth needs to touch and the heart finds hope. Love Talk with Martis The Love Coach, healing in the words, growing as you grow. Love Talk.
Hey loves, and welcome to another episode of Love Talk with Martis The Love Coach. This is where we have real conversations, real healing, and real love. Today I am starting a lot late, honestly. But the truth is, there's so much going on, from maintenance, people fixing some things in the house, Lola barking. It's been a whirlwind today. But I want to thank you. I want to thank every single one of you who continues to send your letters, listen, share, give me feedback. So whether you're listening from South Carolina, North Carolina, Virginia, New York, California, Texas, it doesn't matter. Just thank you. Thank you for trusting me with your stories. Thank you for giving me your time. I do not take it lightly. And if you've been thinking about writing in and you haven't done so yet, this is your sign. Remember, no question is too small. No situation is too messy. No hurt is too deep. If it's on your heart, let's talk about it. So today's conversation is one that I think every single one of us can learn from. Because whether we realize it or not, every relationship we enter, we bring something with us. We bring love. Sometimes we bring hope. Sometimes we bring joy. But then sometimes we bring fear and disappointment and broken trust and abandonment and rejection and heartbreak and even childhood wounds that we never realized we're still being affected by. That's why today's topic is your partner is in your past, how unhealed trauma affects the way you love. So before we get into it, go grab your drink, your coffee, your tea, whatever you need to relax, and let's talk love.
Love Talk. Got a journal in your hand, do the work on your own. Page by page, you ain't walking alone. From the ashes of the old, see a brand new you. Trust in the process.
All right, my love. So can I ask y'all something? Have you ever caught yourself reacting to something or a situation and then later realized that you really were not reacting to what actually happened? You were reacting to what happened years ago. So think about it. Maybe your partner didn't answer the phone, and then immediately your mind says, oh, they're cheating. Maybe they needed some alone time, and then your mind says, oh, they're pulling away from me. Maybe they forgot to text you back, and then suddenly you start feeling abandoned. Sometimes we're not responding to our present. We're responding to our past. And if we're not careful, we end up asking people who've never hurt us to pay for wounds they never created. So I want you to remember, don't make your present partner pay a debt your past partner created. That's our lesson for today. Because trauma doesn't always announce itself. Sometimes trauma whispers things like, don't trust nobody. Everybody leaves. Love always hurts. If you let people get too close, they'll disappoint you. Or sometimes trauma say, if you don't keep your guard up, you'll get hurt again. And then after hearing those lies long enough, we start believing them. And then here's something I want everyone listening to understand. When I say trauma, I'm not only talking about major life events. Because trauma looks like growing up in a home where your parents constantly argued, or watching one parent cheat on another, or being emotionally neglected, being bullied, being rejected, being abandoned, living in chaos, or repeatedly being made to feel like your feelings did not matter. Those experiences, they shape us. Sometimes in ways that we don't even realize, to be honest. And then one day we meet a really, really, really good person, someone who's honest or who's patient and loyal, and someone who's just trying to love us. But because we're still carrying old pain, we question everything they do. Not because they've given us a reason, but because someone else did. I want to tell you something that may challenge you. Your past can explain your behavior, but it can't become your permanent excuse. Healing is your responsibility. Healing is our responsibility. Not because what happened was our fault, but because we deserve that peace too. And the people who chose or choose to love us deserve a chance to love the real us. Not the version of us that's so traumatized or wounded that we cannot move on. Before we jump into today's letters, I'm going to do a couple of love gems. So our first love gem is that your past may explain your fears, but it doesn't have to define your future. And then I also want you to remember that healing isn't forgetting what happened. It's learning that what happened doesn't have to control how you love today. All right, my love. So let's get into today's letters. Today's first letter touched my heart because I know there are so many people listening who are in similar situations. Sometimes you fall in love with someone who has like an amazing heart, but they're carrying hurt from long before you even came into their life, relationship wise. So our first anonymous letter says, Martis, I've been with my guy for about 7 months now. We've actually known each other since we were teenagers. In the beginning of us dating, I knew he had trust issues, and I know he doesn't trust easy. I think it's because his mom cheated on his dad a lot when he was growing up. How can I help him manage this? He is a good man, and please keep me anonymous. Okay. So first I want to say thank you for trusting me with your letter. And before I answer your question, I want to say something that I hope you never forget. The way you described him, you didn't call him toxic. You didn't call him controlling. You did not call him a bad man. You said he's a good man. And that tells me something. That tells me a lot. It tells me you're looking beyond the behavior. And you're trying to understand the hurt behind it. But can I tell you something? There's a difference between making excuses for someone's behavior and then trying to understand where that behavior comes from. Because understanding someone's past in pain doesn't mean you have to accept unhealthy behavior. It simply means you're choosing compassion before judgment. Now, let's talk about what may be happening. You mentioned that his mom cheated on his dad repeatedly. So think about that for a second. As a child, the people who teach us what love looks like are usually our parents or the people who's raising us, right? So imagine growing up watching one of the people you love and trust the most repeatedly break the trust of the other person you love and trust the most. That does something to a child. Even if no one ever sat him down and explained it, children are always watching. They're watching how conflict is being handled. They're watching how love is expressed. They're watching whether promises are kept. They're watching whether home feels safe. So it's possible that somewhere deep inside, he learned this message that people you love will hurt you, or you can't fully trust anybody. The thing is, children doesn't always have the words to explain what they're feeling. But those experiences often follow them into adulthood. And before you know it, they're carrying fears they never asked for. Now, you ask, how can I help him? And I definitely love that question because it shows your heart. It shows how much you care. So my answer is you can support him, you can encourage him, you can love him, but you cannot heal him for him. Love can support healing, but it cannot replace healing. Sometimes we believe if we love someone enough, we'll erase the pain they experience. I wish life worked that way, but it doesn't. Healing is personal. It's a choice. It's hard work. It's self-awareness. It's accountability. And nobody, not even the perfect partner, can do that work for someone else. So what can you do, right? First, be consistent. If you say you're going to call, call. If you're running late, let him know. If you make a promise, keep it. Consistency helps build trust because it creates safety. Not perfection, but safety. Communicate openly. Don't make him guess, right? Because healthy communication leaves less room for fear to create stories that aren't true. And then I want you to have patience. Healing doesn't happen overnight. If someone has carried trust issues for 10, 20 years, they're probably not going to overcome them in 30 days. Give him grace. But then also know the difference between grace and enabling. All right? Because I think a lot of people confuse the two, and I don't want you to. So, grace says, I understand you're hurting. But enabling says, I'll accept unhealthy behavior forever because you're hurting and I love you. Those are not the same. If his trust issues lead to constant accusations, checking your phone, controlling who you talk to, or making you feel like you have to prove your loyalty every single day, that is not healthy. His past may explain why he struggles, but it doesn't give him permission to mistreat you. Healthy relationships require both people to do the work. One person shouldn't be carrying the entire relationship on their shoulders. So, any men listening right now, I want you to hear this. If this letter sounds like you, I want you to hear me. Just because someone hurt you doesn't mean everyone will. I know that sounds so easy to say, right? And I know healing takes time, but don't let one person's betrayal convince you that every woman who comes into your life is guilty, because before you know it, she's gone. And that's even before she's even had a chance to earn your trust. Your future deserves better than that. And honestly, so do she. And so do you. And ladies, if you're dating someone with trust issues, first I want to be honest and clear. Don't. I I know that sounds so cold-hearted, but don't. Because it's a lot. It's a lot to handle, and you have to be mentally ready for that. But if you are dating someone with trust issues, right? Please don't make it your life mission to fix them. All right? So love them, encourage them, support them, but don't lose yourself trying to heal wounds that you didn't create. Because sometimes people become so focused on saving someone else that they forget to take care of themselves, and that is not healthy. To my anonymous fighter, if you're listening, I truly hope your relationship grows in a healthy way. I hope your boyfriend recognizes where some of those fears come from, and I hope he gives himself permission to heal. Because imagine how beautiful your relationship could become if he just gives himself permission to heal. When he's no longer fighting yesterday's battle while trying to love someone who's standing right in front of him today, your relationship is going to bloom like a beautiful flower. Remember this, you can walk beside someone while they heal, but you cannot walk the healing journey for them, okay? Now that letter, and thank you so much for writing in. That letter was powerful, but this one asks a question that a lot of people are afraid to admit they're thinking. What happens when you're dating someone but their past relationship isn't really in the past? Let's talk about it. So our second letter says, hey, I just started listening to your podcast here in New York. I like it. I would suggest some soft music in the background sometimes. But anyway, I want to know how you feel about people dating someone with a toxic baby father. Like, I am feeling this lady, but her baby father is a creep. First of all, welcome to the Love Talk family. We welcome and we love you here. I'm so glad you found the podcast, and I appreciate the feedback. Some soft music wouldn't hurt. I always love hearing what my listeners think, and I love taking feedback. So thank you. Thank you for just writing in. The first thing I want to say is, when you date someone with children, you're not just dating the person, right? You're also stepping into a family dynamic that already existed. That doesn't mean you're dating the child's other parent, but it does mean their presence may be a part of your reality. And that's something that you have to be honest with yourself about. One thing I want every listener to remember is, just because someone has a difficult co-parent doesn't automatically mean they're difficult. Sometimes people are doing everything they can do to co-parent in a healthy way. Sometimes they're setting boundaries, sometimes they're protecting their peace, and sometimes they're simply trying to do what's best for the child. So don't assume someone's character based on the behavior of the other parent. Judge them by how they handle the situation. Do they communicate respectfully? Do they protect the child's emotional well being? Do they avoid unnecessary drama? Are they constantly adding fuel to the fire? Those are the things you should pay attention to. Now, you said I'm feeling this lady. That's great. But feelings alone are not enough. You need wisdom. You need patience. You need understanding. You need peace. So ask yourself, how does she handle conflict? Does she have healthy boundaries? Does she speak respectfully about the father of her child even when she's frustrated? Is she constantly pulled into unnecessary arguments? Or has she learned how to protect her peace? Because how someone manages conflicts tells you a lot about how they'll handle their challenges in the relationship with you. So you can protect your peace without controlling the situation. One mistake I see people make is trying to come into a relationship and immediately fix everything. Please don't do that. You cannot control another grown adult. You cannot make a co parent behave differently. And you definitely don't want to become the referee every time conflict comes up. Now, I want you to support your partner, encourage healthy communication, but don't make it your mission to fight battles that are not yours. Sometimes the most loving thing you can do is simply ask, how can I support you? Instead of saying, here's what I think you should do. There's a difference. If you're serious about this lady, this relationship, ask yourself a few questions. Can I handle the reality that this co-parent may always be a part of her life because they're raising a child together or children together? Am I emotionally mature enough to not turn every interaction into a competition? Can I love her without making her choose between being a good partner to me or a good parent to her child? Because those are important questions. Because dating someone with children requires flexibility, it requires patience and emotional maturity. And if you're not ready for that, it's okay to admit it. It's better to be honest now than to resent anything or anyone later. Now, I'm going to coach you for a moment. Don't let someone else being toxic or their situation becomes yours if it doesn't have to. One of the biggest mistakes people make is allowing someone else's chaos to become their own. If the child's father is creating drama, don't let that drama become the foundation of your relationship with her. Your relationship deserves conversations about dreams and date nights and goals and building a future, not spending every day consumed by someone else's behavior. Protect the space you're creating together. Don't let an outside person move into your relationship emotionally. All right, to my listener in New York, thank you again for your letter. If this woman is kind, if this woman is emotionally healthy, if this woman communicates well and treats you with love and respect, don't let the fact that she has a difficult co-parent automatically stop you from exploring the relationship. Just go into it with open eyes, healthy boundaries, and patience. Set realistic expectations. Be honest, have clarity, because remember, you're building a relationship with her, not with her past. And that's bringing us back to today's topic. Today's topic isn't exactly about forgetting your past and focusing on now. No, it's about healing. So the first letter reminded us to not punish today's partner for yesterday's wounds. The second letter reminded us not to punish today's partner for someone else's behavior. Sometimes the healthiest thing we can do is separate the person we're choosing from the circumstances surrounding them. See them for who they really are, not just for what they've been through. Now, these two letters reminded us that love isn't just about finding the right person. It's about recognizing the emotional baggage that we all carry and deciding whether we're willing to heal, grow, and love with intention. Now, I want to leave you with a few final coaching thoughts. I want to leave you with some coaching thoughts, some love gems, and a challenge that I hope every listener takes seriously, and then our weekly affirmations. All right, then we're going to wrap this up. I know I'm over time. Y'all know how I get. So everybody has a story, right? Everybody. The person who struggles to trust, they have a story. The person who's afraid of commitment, they have a story. The person who always pushes people away has a story. The person who's always trying to please everybody, they have a story. The person who gets jealous easy, they have a story. And sometimes what looks like an attitude is actually unhealed pain. What looks like distance is fear. What looks like anger is hurt. And what looks like control is insecurity. That doesn't make unhealthy behavior okay. Let's be clear. But it does remind us that sometimes we need to look beyond the behavior and ask, what happened to you? Instead of only asking, what's wrong with you? That question alone can change how we love people. One of the biggest myths I hear is time heals all wounds. I disagree. I think time gives us an opportunity to heal, but healing still requires work. Because I met people who are 40, 50, still reacting to something that happened when they were 14. I met people who are in healthy relationships, but they're still arguing with someone who hurt them 10 years ago. Only now they're arguing through completely different people. Think about it. Sometimes we have emotional conversations about our past or with our past using our present partner, and that is not fair. Your spouse, your boyfriend, your girlfriend should not have to constantly prove they're not the person who broke your heart. That's a heavy burden to place on someone who showed up ready to love you for you. Remember, healing is your responsibility. Now, before anybody misunderstands me, let's be clear. I'm not saying what happened to you was not painful. I'm not saying it did not leave scars. And I'm not saying that you should just get over it. Healing isn't about pretending it didn't happen. It's about refusing to let what happened continue to control your life. I say this with so much love. Your trauma may not be your fault, but your healing is your responsibility. Because if you don't heal, you'll continue to bleed onto someone who never ever cut you. And let me say this too, healing isn't a destination where one day you'll wake up and say, I'm completely healed. It's a journey. Some days you feel strong. Some days an old memory may come back. Some days you'll find yourself reacting before you even realize why. Okay, the goal is not perfection. The goal is awareness. Because awareness is where change begins. Now, stop looking for relationships to heal wounds that only healing can heal. And then I want you to think hard about, if I find the right person, I'll finally feel whole. That statement. Think hard about that statement. Because you won't. A healthy relationship can support your healing. It can encourage your healing. It can even give you a safe place. But it cannot do the healing for you. That's why I always say a healthy love starts with a healthy you. The healthier your relationship becomes, the better everything in your life becomes. Not because you'll be perfect, but because you'll stop expecting another person to carry burdens that belong to only your healing journey. So here's a challenge for this week, right? I don't want you to think about your partner, and I want you to just think about yourself for a second. I want you to ask yourself these 3 questions. What experience in my past still affecting the way I love today? Am I reacting to the person in front of me or to someone from my past? What's one step I can take towards healing this week? Maybe that's having an honest conversation with yourself. Maybe it's journaling, apologizing, forgiving, whatever it is, take it. Because healing doesn't happen by wishing. Healing happens by doing the hard work. Now, thank you, my loves, for your time. I'm only going to do a few affirmations today because it's late. And so take a deep breath in and exhale. Repeat after me. I am not defined by my past. My trauma may be part of my story, but it does not get to write my future. I deserve healthy, peaceful love. And finally, I give myself permission to trust again, one step at a time. All right, my loves, thank you so much for spending another Wednesday with me. And thank you for trusting me with your letters, your stories, your questions. Thank you for allowing me to be a part of your healing journal. And remember, you are not broken. You may been hurt. You may have experienced things that you've never deserved, but healing is possible. And every step you take towards healing is a step towards a healthier relationship. Not only with others, but with yourself, which is the most important one. If today's episode encouraged you, I want you to share it with someone who may need a reminder. And if you have questions, a relationship challenge, a situation, or anything you want to talk about, submit a letter anonymously if you want. And don't forget to join me this Friday. I got a special guest. We'll continue to have real conversations, some fun, and some love, okay? Until next time, keep choosing healing, keep choosing growth, keep choosing love, and never forget, healthy love starts with a healthy you. I'm Martis The Love Coach, and this has been another great episode of Love Letters to Martis The Love Coach. I love y'all. Bye.
Love Talk with Martis The Love Coach, where the truth meets the touch, and the heart finds hope. Love Talk with Martis The Love Coach, healing in the words, growing as you grow. Yeah, yeah. Love Talk. Press play, breathe in, let the wisdom settle in where you've been. Every scar teacher, every tear a guide. Real love starts the moment you stop trying to hide. Love Talk, the Love Talk. Tune in, fall in, rise up. Yeah, this is love. Yeah, this is